Good Monday morning, the Monday after Super Bowl. We're out here wiping off the tears from the Eagles suffering a loss last night. But hey, we're going to talk commercials, Toyota changing its tune, and Hyundai giving options for EVs.
Oh, got it all in.
Every once in a while, you just you nail the cut and you just have to smile about it, you know?
There's no better feeling.
There's no better feeling. So nailed the cut this morning. Cirilla, did you watch the game last night?
I watched the game first. May I say, the first time I've officially watched the entirety of a Super Bowl.
Really?
Yes, and that is because I never anticipated Central Time. Never anticipated that I would have children so deeply involved in sports that they would be like, "Dad, you're watching this deal."
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's an added value. My kids are by the second quarter, my son was whipping around in the bonus room. It was like Batman had a cape and was hitting everyone in the head, and it's okay. We'll get
I watched it from a different angle though. I got to say, I was like,
yeah,
dang, throughout the game, my wife finally was like, "You need to shut up about this." But I was not in, okay, great. Two best teams in the league. This is fantastic. I'm like, these parents had two sons playing in the all the early morning practices and tournament weekends and now they rich. I was like, I couldn't get over that piece. I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my wife was like, I think there's brothers out there. I'm like, I know, it's wild. And I mean, the game itself, if you're a sports fan, the game itself was really good up until the last 2 minutes. Just because I think it was a terrible way to end a game, but hey, the actual game was extremely exciting. But speaking of the game,
segue.
I love the graphic.
We'll get right into it because everybody knows, every news source, media outlet, article, Instagram, Twitter feed, Reddit, subreddit, everything in the planet is talking about the commercials, whether they were good or bad, the overall grading, individual commercials. Give me, before we get in, because we know we got to talk auto commercials, before we get in, overall grade from you for the commercial set last night.
Like a letter grade?
It doesn't matter. You can go 0 to 10. The letter
is like a C+.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
I would put it C+, right?
Yeah.
There's no Darth Vader little kid commercial, epic level happening.
Yeah. You know, speaking of little kids, it was interesting to see E-Trade come back in. I think they've been off the Super Bowl kind of thing for a couple of years, but bringing back in the little the kids and the business suits and all that was kind of fun. But other than that, it was a little rough. There were a ton of Super Bowl commercials talking about the EV landscape and the manufacturers that are pressing into that. So we're going to run down just a few of them. We'll probably do some reaction videos later for you on YouTube or on the socials if you want to check those out. Let's start with this one. The Jeep EVs doing the Electric Boogie, a whole bunch of animals doing the boogie, EVs going all over the place, plug-in hybrids from the Jeep perspective. And then they find a charger at the top of a mountain trail, which to my friend Micah Burkholz last night, he texted me and he goes, can't wait to find that at the top of a mountain trail. You're gonna be the grader this morning. We're gonna go one by one. Normally I'm the color commentator. You gotta be the color commentator. Jeep EV Electric Boogie, give us a grade.
C.
Why a C? You got to give the Y.
Because I feel like they all tried to play they tried to be big and bold, but they all tried just playing it safe. So you might not be surprised with my letter grading on this.
He's like C plus, C minus, C.
Yeah,
all right. Yeah. So GM, we talked a little bit about this last week because they came out with the commercial early, but they told their marketing story through the Netflix partnership with Will Ferrell. My daughter was sitting there. She goes, "Is that the guy from Elf?" Right? That was the through line for her. But let's give it a grade.
B.
I agree. Okay.
I think that was on it. Was probably the best one.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
My only problem with that one is and I love any time where you tell everyone what you're going to do in marketing. You just kind of put it plainly. Right. So, hey, we're going to be marketing to you through all of the Netflix content that you watch. was the play for me. The actual commercial, it was a little bit lackluster. The way my wife said it and the way I say it is every moment, every new scene, I wanted to just laugh a lot, but I
Right.
couldn't get past the just like general smile, you know?
Yes.
So there was no moment. There was no like, oh, got him, you
It's
know?
like they were like, "Hey, Will, how much for your best comedic acting?" And he was like, $500,000 a minute.
Right.
And they were like, "How much for like your B level?" Like everybody's like conscious of their spend or something.
It's like if he could have written the commercial, it might have been better. Most
Yes,
likely. Yeah,
exactly.
exactly. All right. Kia marries Binky Dad and the Rocky theme, and the punchline at the end, I think, was the best part of this commercial when he gets there back with the Binky and the baby spits it out, and Mama says, "Yo, he likes the blue one instead." But
Yeah,
kind of a
C,
fun
C
little,
plus. C
yeah.
plus for the emotional, desiring to go down the emotional route with something everyone can relate to. Well, lots of everyone.
Yeah, I think it tried to pull at the heartstrings was the goal of the commercial, but it didn't really accomplish that level. You know, you kind of the end the where he comes and holds up the binky at the end and everyone cheers. You're like, that could have been a moment, but it a little bit fell flat. So I agree with the C plus. Now, if you're staying in that range, you and I may disagree with on this one on the last
Okay.
one, but
Okay.
Stellantis really pushed the boundaries a wee bit. There was some mixed reactions on the news while I was running this morning with their Ram commercial for premature electrification. Yeah, really going and toying with the PC line just a little bit, having a little bit of poking fun at some medical commercials, and there was a lot of hilarity all across the internet on the threads this morning on that one.
Yeah. Well, okay, from B.
Okay, good.
B and but I do have the marketing reasons for it, right? Like we all
Yes.
know that but the reason for it is because they're trying to like bring a whole new level of sophisticated understanding around EVs, and I think that people still need some of that baseline education, like
Yep.
how long is it going to last in a winter storm? So I get where they're going with it. They're really trying to bring EV conversation to the forefront for the mass, but and then having some, we all know like any marketing that has any measure of emotional response is gonna stick with us longer. So I get where they were going there.
Yep.
I give it a B.
Well, and I think for me, the reason why I agree with the B, I thought you were going to go with the C. The reason why I agree with the B is that there was a large swath of the population that could be alienated by a commercial like that. So you run the risk in a Super Bowl level commercial of alienating a good percentage of your target market, your target audience.
Right.
And but like you said, I'm going to give kind of pros and cons here, but the remembrance of the commercial is clearly there. People will clearly remember and talk about that one a lot. So all good, all good PR. All PR is good PR in a way.
Right.
But also at the end, like you said, it didn't really say much about the brand, right? It was just an attachment to something,
Right.
to an idea. There was no through line. Like, why would I buy this? Why would I engage with the Ram brand other than they're just funny? Right? It didn't say much about the car or what the capacity was or why it might solve for this false false diagnosis.
Right.
So I think we can tell stories and still be funny or emotional or anything like that. So
Well, and I mean, the thing is too, I'm sure the marketing meeting went like this. Nobody's going to judge us. We're showing this to a billion people whose fingers smell like hot dog grease and queso.
that's great. Yeah, like
They're going to
at the
love
end
it.
of the day, guys, lick your
You
fingers
see
off
even
and
Elon
keep
Musk
rolling.
slamming a hot dog. It's like, we know who we're talking to.
There we go. We know who we're talking to. All right, keep it rolling. We're staying in EVs today, and just some interesting stories along threads that we've been following for quite some time. So, shortly after a change in command, the new Toyota boss has promised an accelerated EV future for the automaker. Sato, the news man in charge, it said that the accelerated EV rollout would center around a next generation platform, which is expected to arrive around 2026. This is a little bit of a shift, and I think a major reason for the change in command, but a shift from Toyota's very resolute and measured approach to EVs, citing diversified powertrain. However, Sato did confirm that they are going to continue with a diversified set of powertrains, saying that hybrids, plug-in hybrids, hydrogen, and all electric battery electric vehicles would be a part of their plans moving forward. But definitely a change in tune from even the fall for the automaker.
Yeah, I think it's actually a smart move on their part. And I think they early on tried to stand out and be like, "Oh, we're investing heavily in hydrogen and we're just going to kind of sit back and see what happens here." But I mean, you got to get with it. This is the direction everybody's going. And I think, Toyota, with its brand recognition and with its, broad understanding of their reliability and the fact that they build something that's made to last and all these sorts of things, they can't help but get into that game. So I think it's not a departure; it's a good evolution for them.
Yeah, it is a good evolution. They're probably going to, if anyone says evolution, they're going to highlight the two letters EV. But they did state that it is going to come out with the Lexus brand first, knowing that that's going to be a quicker push to EV. And some of the interesting comments were just around the fact that they're really taking a look at their whole manufacturing process, taking a look at the platform and the way that the battery lives inside the vehicle and the way it's platformed, as well as the battery manufacturing process, because they see this as an opportunity for evolution in the entire supply chain, not just making a different car. They cited aerodynamics as a big press for them. So I think, I said this, I think a few weeks ago, I think as Toyota does this, they're going to kind of be the Apple of, this is me saying this could be kind of the Apple moment where back when the iPhone came out, we all thought BlackBerry was going to be the thing. We all, Samsung flip phones were the thing. And then Apple came kind of behind the scene on the smartphone side of things and entered with the thing that has now changed a whole generation of phones. And I think Toyota's probably going to make moves in a similar direction.
Yeah, and I think, if they play their cards right, they could be the counter to the premature electrification by just saying electrification that lasts.
Oh,
I'll
is
see
there
myself
like
out.
a but somewhere
I'll
in
see
there?
myself
Is
out.
it? Well, we gotta stop that one. Hyundai has also launched a new month-long subscription service to try out an EV with registration and insurance included. Their new program called Evolve Plus lets owners test drive for 28 days as a minimum and up to 3 months in a monthly plan that includes their registration, their insurance. For the Ioniq 5, it's an $899 price per month plus, and you can add a couple add-ons there. The Kona EV is $699, and you get 1,000 miles a month allowed. So this is it's a really new thing. You brought this up and saw this in the news, but what do you think about this for consumers, for dealers, the OEM, how it might play into the overall EV landscape?
The first thought was like, dang, that's expensive. And then if you look at the average lease and financing, monthly that people are paying, they're paying well more than that in some instances. I know people that are paying $1,200 a month for, a Ford truck and things of that nature. And so I think coming in at that $699, they were probably thinking, hey, well, for that price, we can get people to play around with this, not have any major commitments, stop it whenever they want, and drive a brand new vehicle. And so I think interesting. I think as more people enter that game, or as more companies enter that game as well, we'll see probably a softening of those prices.
Yep.
But I think here we are. We were just talking about this on our Friday episode, this whole concept of beta testing a vehicle, and sure enough, here we are with a similar model as a lot of SaaS, software as a service companies that are saying, hey, 14-day free trial, 28-day free trial, 90-day free trial. I mean, who knows? I just think it's really smart as a test bed to see how market will react. And to me, I always love running tests like that. So
Yeah. My question is you don't, you're not gonna, oh, excuse me, you're not gonna get that might have been a
swallowed your
first.
tongue.
I swallowed my tongue. The interesting thing to me is you're probably not going to install a charger at your house for the
Right.
potential of not having this car in a month if it doesn't go well. So it's a test, but it's not like a test like if you were going to drive an internal combustion engine vehicle for a month and go, do I like this or not? Because your habits don't change, but there's definitely necessity for some habit change or to already have charging stations along your path in the way. So that's a big question for me. I do love it because it allows customers to experience something without having to go rent a vehicle. I've known a few people that have gone to Enterprise or gone to Hertz and rented a Tesla or another EV just to see whether or not they like the drive and the feel longer than that, test drive 4 right corners and back to the dealership. So it definitely extends that, but I think there's still some questions to be answered along the way. One of those questions is dealers starting to raise their hand and say, hey, how does this affect us? And is this the first path to direct to consumer sales? To which my argument is, hey, they still have to pick it up at the dealership. So what are we doing as dealers to create an overwhelmingly great experience when someone picks up their subscription service so that they are committed to that dealership? So I would say that Hyundai did everybody a favor not dropping these things off in driveways.
Yeah, look at the adoption rate too. Going back to the software as a service model, look at the adoption rate. We have enough data now at this point to know there's a large percentage of people who end up buying the software and probably even upgrading the software package when they
Yep.
have that free trial to play around with it. And I would almost suspect that they're going to do the same thing here. Like, hey, you're going to rent it for a month. We're going to send you home with a technician and someone to install the free charging port just so you have it in your I could just see a whole variety of things. And you're right. I mean, then what's the process going to be internally that we delight them through that 28-day process so that by day 15 they've already decided they want it because they've been driving it.
Yeah, like send a little video, send an education thing, send a thanks for picking up, a little bit about your service department, how you can serve them in the future.
Right.
All of those little micro moments through that 28-day period, massive opportunity for dealers. Hey, that's all we have time for today. There is always massive opportunity for dealers. We've learned that over the last couple of years and we'll continue to. Hey, I think there's something to do with when the Super Bowl hits and the selling season begins. So let's get that selling season started now.